that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who won the fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Body Work. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there? How are y'all doing out there, man? I just want to talk a little good boxing, man. Kind of switch it up a little bit. I just gotta make sure one thing. I make sure my level right. Gotta make sure my level right. I'm not sure it is. Okay, I got my levels right. That was so irresponsible of me. I normally do that before I get started. But the good news is I'm here, man, and I'm excited about boxing, man. It's boxing can be toxic, but we love this shit, man. If you on here talking about it, looking at it, reading articles about it, like checking box recs, going back watching fights. Oh man. And it's a wonderful time in boxing, man. It's definitely been an uptick in boxing, man. A lot of the time we harp on the negative. Man, but I use the 80-20 rule. You know what I'm saying? It's like 80% of it's good, but we tend to harp on the negativity. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's rare that you see a good video or a great video and you share it. But you see some old crazy, silly, stupid, crazy mess, everybody getting it. So, I just want to come out and do a segment on when boxers go dark, because it's a thing, man. It's a thing, and I think it impacts the game. It impacts everything. You spend time, you build up this fan base. You have them talking about you and doing research and telling other people about you. Like my old head called me like 3 minutes before I was getting ready to get started, and he was excited. I'm gonna tell y'all who he was excited about. He was excited about Kristen and Billy, man. He said, "Have you seen this, man? Do you know anything about this guy?" And I said, yeah, I watched him fight, but we chopped it up. I said, I'm going to get back with him. But that's how it is. Like, boxing is like that, where you find out, because he the one who I knew about anyway, but he was the one who really was like, man, you got to see this guy in a way. I'm telling you, because he been an anyway fan for years. But I always start off a little skeptical. If you've been watching boxing and you consider yourself a hardcore, like anything, you're going to have trust issues. So I'm one of the type that I do not go full head of steam on somebody right away. I gotta see him. I gotta understand the history of him. I gotta see him come out. I gotta see him. I like to see him against different styles, but sometimes you don't, you know. But the ones that are really good, the ones that resonate with me, I've seen them against different styles, different situations. I've done the background knowing, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly. More than likely, if you really catch my attention, you get in my boxes to watch, which I gotta update my boxes to watch. It's been a minute since I updated it, right? But you know, as a fan, you find yourself, you know, getting to know the landscape of the boxers and the landscape of boxing, and then if you really care, you're going to actually start studying the business of boxing. You know, and then when you look at everything that's going on, whether it's a boxer or a fight or what a promoter saying, or, you know, current news and events, you can kind of gauge who's really full of shit, you know. And you grow accustomed to seeing some of these guys over the years, and you know, you might have your fair. I do the 80-20 rule. You know, I'm a you know, and sometimes if it's too egregious, I'm just not gonna say nothing. You know, but you're not gonna have me just kicking somebody back in every day and just shitting on them or whatever, because at the end of the day, they do get hit in the head for a living. You know, it's just we in the era now where and I heard somebody say this today, but I wish it was true. During the Regis Prograis interview on TBV, he said, I think we're past that old stage where if you lose and I'm like, I wish, Regis, I wish we were past that stage, man. I wish we were past that stage to where if you finally took a loss or a draw or something happened, it was like your rite of passage. Because back in the day, that was really your rite of passage. You know, if you was fighting the creme de la creme, you had to be extremely special. But at some point in time, on any given night, one of them days you're going to have a bad day at the office and the stars going to align and somebody going to be great, a la Buster Douglas. You know, some of the upsets that we have, a la Liam Paro against Matias when he came out, like, you know, a la Kambosos when he fought T.O. It's just like we would reason that 9 times out of 10 that's not going to happen, but it happens. And I wish we were in the era where if somebody suffered a defeat, we could just let it go and move on and tread forward. But that doesn't happen. But here recently, a lot of my guys, man, a lot of the guys that I rock with, man, I see that when they face adversity, like a lot of them in the form of a loss, they go dark. You know, they go dark, and I'm just like, I was going to do it like, you know, because people do it in a derogatory way. They might put a box on the back of a milk carton or, you know, something crazy. You know, they'll come up with some kind of crazy thing. They come up with some kind of crazy thing that they do where they'll, you know, they pretty much just shit on the guy or do some kind of weird thumbnail to kind of call attention. But I kind of want to have an open discussion on this about when these boxers go dark and how it impacts the game. And maybe it's a fighter that you might have been thinking of. You're like, man, what happened to them or whatever? Because a lot of the times what it does is it allows the, you know, my man AC said this the other day, like, you know how when the mic's away, the cat's gonna play. It's like the haters they go haywire, you know what I'm saying? Especially after loss. I understand recovering, spending time with your family. You went through training camp and all that, you know, healing, resting up. You don't want to still be lumped up or whatever. I understand a little period where you need, you know, a little bit of respite. But after that, man, you kind of gotta build you gotta kind of like maintain a rapport with your fans, because the haters online, they go crazy, and like, especially like for Al Heyman, he take the most. He always been dark, you know what I'm saying? Al was just dark, unless you had the privilege of meeting him. And I've heard that some people even met him and talked to him and didn't even realize that's who they were talking to until afterwards. But to name a few, Spence, Jamal Charlo, Regis Prograis, Tank, Frank Martin, Andre. There was just a couple of guys that went dark, and it's like the fans gonna love them whenever they come back because of how they are. Like when you really see how they are. Like it took me a while with the Charlos beforehand, and because I was part of a community. And they used to be bipolar on them. They love when they fight. They used to love when they fight, but all the news they would talk about the Charlos, man, it would be all negative. And I was caught up in that community. And one day I was sitting there and I was like, hold on, man. I think it was a segment they used to do. I used to love these segments called Ring Resume. When they used to do the Ring Resume, man, and they used to show all of that, and I was just like, God damn, I was like, look at Charlo, like. Man, I was like, hold on, man. I gotta start looking at that. So I started looking at the guy and in every interview he had and all this stuff. Like, I started really looking at Mel. And Mel, I was like, man, Mel is a cold motherfucker. I was like, Mel was like one of my favorite. Now, I told you, Tank and Earl brought me back. I stopped watching after Tyson got beat up by Tommy Morrison. And was just like, I just wanted money to feed my family. I almost broke my motherfucking TV. I used to, when I was in the Army, I used to host get-togethers, you know what I'm saying? We'll have some drinks, some food, barbecue, you know, we'll host it. And I walked away. And so I would kind of look at boxing from my peripheral for years. And like the big fights to the marquee fights, like I knew about the Floyd and the Pacquiao. I would stay abreast of that. I was big on Pacquiao too. Used to love that little guy, man. He's one of my favorite fighters. Over the times, and Earl and Tank kind of brought me back. Southpaw, I'm a Southpaw. They both Southpaws, right? But I seen that body work from Earl, and that's really why that's part of how I came to call my channel Body Work. That's the logo. That logo. Because my original logo was Earl Spence going to Lamont Peterson's body, and shout out to Lamont Peterson. He from the area, he from the DMV, you know what I'm saying? But Earl, he used to be a bad man too. But my original logo was Earl Spence going to Lamont Peterson's body. And then I had to create my own silhouette, and that's how I came up with Body Work. I had the name, and I'm like, okay, how I'm gonna do this? So that's how I posed the Body Work. It was, you know, and I seen the way Earl, because it was like, man, growing up, some shit pop off, you punching somebody in the face. Imagine how many times or what would happen if when some shit popped off, you just punched the motherfucker in the stomach hard as you can. You know how much of a game changer that would have been in so many times? Because I was famous for that, just punching somebody in the face. Like, you know, but Jamel grew on me. And I was like, man, Mel is a cold motherfucker. And then I seen what he did. He went by and collected them stones, them infinity stones, one by one. He suffered a defeat. You know what I'm saying? Some people say that loss to Tony Harrison, it shouldn't have been like that. You know what I'm saying? Some people will agree with it. But you can't go by what was going on YouTube at that time, because it was they were bipolar with the Charlos. I had never seen so many people try to divide a set of twins in my life. That's why some young boys, they like 17. They called the Grandy twins. Look out for them. I've been following them for a while now, man. I hope the world don't do this. These are some bad. I'm talking about they 17, man. Bad dudes, man. But I never understood it. They never talked about how they got the key to the city when they was out there. They always talk about when they was out there doing their little rants and doing, you know, catching them in their AB moments. You know, man, they had a little, you know, but Mel had got focused. Mel was walking around his walk around rate. Maul had kind of drifted a little bit, even though Maul is undefeated. But Mel suffered a defeat. He came back. He stopped that guy. He got a draw against Castano. He came back. He stopped that guy. He collected all the stones one by one. Like, I got a video coming out called The Ruler's Back. I just don't have enough meat on the bone to be able to talk about it yet. But Mel was one of my guys over the years. Regis, I always liked them people from Louisiana, man, New Orleans, that they got that accent. But watching Regis over the years, and I don't care if these guys have been beefing with each other inside of boxing. These were just my guys as far as guys that landed in my boxes to watch. Frank Martin, even though I picked Tank, I was doing content on Frank. I was like, man, I like Frank. I like his mentality. He's sharp. He's smart. Like, you know, I like to see these guys. you know, coming up, but like it's like when they suffer a loss, they go dark. And I'm like, I mean, I know they got their things they gotta resolve because it's their career. But do they think about us? Do they think about how we gotta motherfucking endure these motherfucking haters every motherfucking day with nobody to check them? Cause nobody don't nobody wanna get laughed at like or clowned in like in high school. Nobody wanna, you know, oh man, here you go. Here you go, you're an aerosexual. What's up, AC?
What's good, bro? What it do, man? Good topic here, man, because I've had a couple of fighters that I was really, really big on, and when they took a controversial draw or even a loss, they just went dark, and it's like, damn, bro. Damn. And, you know, that's how you handling your that's how you handling your shit. But sometimes I get it, because sometimes it's best to just say nothing and just show people with actions. Because if I don't say nothing, you can't hold me accountable to some shit that I said. Now it's just, yeah, that was a bad performance. Not gonna say too much. I'm gonna get back in the gym or the lab. I'm gonna fix what I need to fix, watch some film, and then come back at it. I ain't got no problem with that. I ain't got no issue with that. And the same fighters that I just said, yeah, went dark, that's the shit that they did when they came back. So it's a bittersweet type of thing for the fan, because sometimes if you got a lot of haters, you just gotta be like, oh man, look at this guy's thumbnail. Look at his headline. Like, where the fuck did you get that from? Like, oh my God, this is like, I just want to get off of YouTube. And these are days where you just find yourself so pissed off and so disgusted with the content that normally you'll be rocking with somebody. And then you see them drop some weird ass thumbnail, and it's like, man, I'm unsubscribing to this dude. What the fuck did you come up with that from? So I get it, man. I get it. But great start out, and let's chop it up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I understand the part where they gotta heal, right? And I understand that some of it's probably like the embarrassment, but I'm like, as far as, it's like any relationship. It's like you kind of got a relationship with your fans. You know, you kind of got a relationship with your fans because, yeah, you can go out. You won't be able to go out based on your name. You build up a big enough name, you're gonna be able to go out and get people to come to your fights. Yeah, you are. You're gonna be able to. People gonna be like, oh shit, such and such back. Yeah, but it's almost like you got a name and you kind of plateau out, and then if you stall out, when you come back, you kind of gotta get your momentum again.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta, you know, it's like if with anything, you know what I'm saying? You might not see somebody and you know, for a while, and then you talk, and then it's like it gotta be some light chit chat or some, you know, a little water cooler talk, and then you get back into the meat and potatoes. But it's like, I noticed with a lot of my guys, this been happening with a lot of my fighters, man. It's like it's nothing really, you can't really do nothing about it. You know, when they do it, you just gotta support them when they come back. But it's like, man, that's why in boxing you always gotta be looking for the up and coming. That's why you can't rely on just having, you know, I'm an OnlyFans. That's why I always talk about OnlyFans, because they're only fans of this one person or this one promotional company or this one tribe. It's like, and they see everything through that one lens.
Now, here's a tell of an OnlyFans. If you go back and you start talking about boxing history, they'll mute up or get quiet. Because they're not really boxing fans. They're super fans of this guy. When you talk about this person, they're going to pop up, be very vocal, and tell you all kind of stuff about them. But have no reference points of when you're making an example of saying, well, yeah, he reminds me of a Julio Cesar Chavez. As far as they know, yeah, I remember Chavez. He was, from what I heard, he was a great fighter. So they're gonna try to bullshit you on that. So you got to be careful. It's best to listen to them, and then you can actually just tell right off the bat, or just watch their movements, and you'll. He's our only fan, so give him his onlyness, and he'll be all right.
Let him have his onlyness.
Exactly. Exactly. But when we talk about our fighters that we do like, it's always really good to not try to compare them with somebody from the past, but stylistically you can see certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, some people may disagree with me, but Terrence Crawford reminds me of Sweet Pea. It's just something about Terrence Crawford that always brings me to Sweet Pea. So when I look at him,
kind of like the same kind of personality type.
Yeah, like quiet, has like a mild disposition, the type of person you see on the street, you looking at him like there's something ill, and this is one of them quiet dudes that'll probably fuck something up. You feel
Victor.
So it's something within that space that says, yeah, he reminds me of this guy. And this is probably why the biggest thing of watching early Terrence Crawford that made me such a fan. And watching Errol Spence, I'm gonna keep it a bean. He reminds me of Hagler. Like the way he be going in the body and just got his kind of head down and put his head on your shoulder or in your chest or whatever, and just throw some mean shit at your body. It's like, yeah, you gotta respect that dude. Like he is like, I'm not comparing the two to say they're the same, but he is like, stylistically, he reminds me of watching classic Marvin Hagler.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, man. Good comparison. I mean, they are. I think I sometimes I feel like I can tell who used to watch who.
Yeah.
When I see their style,
Exactly.
I feel like I noticed that Shakur and Keyshawn, they talk about Sweet Pea a lot. Like they idolize, that's who they look at, especially Keyshawn. I just recently heard Shakur say Sweet Pea. But I think his style was a little different. But I see a lot of Bud in Keyshawn.
Yeah. That's
like if he perfect that style, man, if he perfect that style, man, that dude, he showed me he's like the closest thing I've seen as far as like, okay, some of their moves and that lean back. I be seeing, even though it's from a different stance, I see Richardson sometimes he do some of the things, like he do some of them, but he's more like a pure boxer. But like the closest one I can see is Keyshawn. Like he looked like if he fully mastered that and they keep working with him, because he can mimic a lot of the things that Bud can do, and then he got the wingspan to be able to do it, and he got the power. Man, he gonna be a force, man. He already there. He's like the young adder, you know what I'm saying? The young adder that spit too much venom right now. But once he control that shit, and he get to the class that he gonna be, like when his body fully fill out and he like got his grown man strength with that skill and his mind develops, if he don't fall off, that man gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, and he's one of those type of fighters that I'm gonna say, if he did take a loss or a controversial draw, he's going to go dark, and what is going to happen is you probably see Keyshawn 2.0, the better version of Keyshawn. And it's just some fighters that I'm solid on this that I've seen were hell of a fighters. But once they took that loss, I don't know what the fuck happened. It must have relit a new flame, because when they came back, they were on a tear up until the day that they retired. So it's like, you know, I don't mind the dark going dark. It's like it's what you do because it's a double-edged sword. If you just soaking in the loss, then you don't want to watch replays of how you lost, and you just don't want to talk boxing or anything. That's something mental. You may need to go seek professional help if that's your attitude. But if you go turn right back around, swallow your pride, and say, you know what? Let me look at this fight and study what did I do wrong for these judges to make the decision that they made. And then you restudy, you call your trainers like, yeah, I'm rewatching it. Let's meet up and let's watch it again and let's just take notes and just try to drill in me what I need to do to make this better. I know I should have listened to some of the things, but even in your advice that you were giving me that night, it was still something I think we both might have missed. And you just sit down and you go over the game plan, you go back in, you just rework on everything or tighten certain shit up. Don't go out and be pissed off at your trainer and fire your trainers and then you're looking for a whole new camp, because then you just fuck everything up.
Yeah, I hate that. That's a pet peeve of mine. But what I think is the most damaging thing is that you gotta warm up to your fans, and then you will give room for the haters to put the narrative out there, and you force your fans to combat these narratives. Like, oh, he just come back for a payday, or he just want to get paid. It's like you lose momentum, and then you gotta have your fans warm up, and it's like your fans have trust issues a little bit. Like, man, like you back? Is you serious about boxing? Like, they start looking more. You know what I'm saying? They start questioning you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just, I think it's a lot of just this era in boxing because everything is instant gratification. If your favorite fighter says something and you follow that fighter on Twitter or whatever, it's instant gratification. He said something. It may not be directly to me, but I feel as though as a fan of him, he's talking to me. So it's when you as the fighter, you're out here and you're constantly posting and you're constantly updating about things, and then when you do go dark, that's something that your fans are like, whoa, what brought this on? You ain't never really got dark before, so ooh, are you what's really going on? I know you had this statement, and I kind of felt where you was coming from with some of the earlier statements, and this is my Tank examples of what he was saying about retiring and some of the other issues and the mental issues, because that type of shit wears on you. You feel me? Because you're always under someone's expectation, and you can't post nothing without someone trying to be like, yeah, but you ducking this and yeah and this, and it's just like, you know what? One day I would just love to post something on social media with me and my kids, or just something that I saw that I thought was funny, and not one goofy fan just come out or hater just come out and say some stupid shit that's just like, you know what? So when you got to remember, these are things that fighters want. They would love to be able just to post something and that's just it. Even for a person that winds up stopping somebody after they got dropped twice by, generally by a one-legged guy. And you get dropped twice, and now you got all of these fans saying, you better be careful, because if you go up in competition with that chin of yours, you may get stopped and blah 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 blah. So it's like, yeah, but I stopped him. I went through adversity, got up, put him down, and then the next round he didn't make it out of the fight. The fuck are you talking about? So when shit like that happens, it's weird, because we would want fans to have more respect, but they're just not, because the access is too easy. It's instant right there. You tweet something, I could write a response or reply right after that, whether my shit is a troll or a voice of encouragement.
Yeah. Now, do you think Do you think we still in that era? Do you think we still in that era with the old, like where you can't? Well, once you lose your old, we're done, or is that just a U.S. thing, or are we transitioning to a different era? Or are we still stuck in that old stuff?
I'm thinking right now we're moving into the transition to whereas if you're fighting the toughest competition, we can accept you losing your O. But if you fighting a bunch of bullshit people, you feel what I'm saying? Like the example, Munguia is gonna have a hard time trying to relive this down, despite whatever promotion company try to rewrite who he is. The fans are going to have their opinion on Jaime Munguia. You felt that you didn't fight any real competition. You get in there, Canelo carries you, does the traditional knock you down. You know what I'm saying? To try to say, yeah, but he got up from a Canelo punch. Okay, yeah, that's the build you. You feel what I'm saying? Now you go in there and you truly get slept by a French teacher, you know, and with 4 knockouts. So you can't, it's going to take much more than what your promotional company thinks it's going to be in trying to put lipstick on that pig and tell us that Jaime Munguia is back. You know what I'm saying? So now you're forced to get in there with a Soul Cold Nelson, Diego Pacheco, even Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? Hamza goes up there. You know, you better start trying to call out Hamza just a cloud chase. So he's got some work to do, but the point I'm making is simply this. In this era, I think we're finally starting to recognize that a O doesn't mean it's the end of a guy's career, and we shouldn't be on that. Floyd Mayweather should have really trying to protect our O to the day we retire, because then it fucks up your legacy.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy is when I look at different cultures and the support, like the same conversation I revisit whenever I'm talking to Bold, is that the UK fans be like that, and other cultures over here aren't really like that. Because you gotta think, for all intents purposes, it was the same result with Jermell and Canelo, even though he didn't get whacked and found himself looking up. He got hit, he seen the onslaught, and he took a knee like to gather himself so further damage wouldn't happen. So he took a knee and they counted. So both of them were considered a knockdown, but it was the same result where they both got washed. Only Berlanga got a parade, and Jermell, they still was trying to say shit like, "Oh, that hype job. Told you this hype job was gonna get exposed," and all kind of crazy stuff. So it's really based on the support you like. It's really, some of it is like cultural, because Pitbull, they still want to see Pitbull.
Yeah,
like people will argue when they'll cry about somebody else getting an opportunity at a title shot. Like all of the people that was like all of the belly aching I heard about Gary Antoine Russell getting another bite at the apple after the Puello loss. I'm like, I know y'all ain't up here talking. I know y'all ain't up here talking when Rolly got it, but then they'll kind of pigeonhole it as to something over. Look at PBC working their stuff again, but like it's really cultural, because Rolly was getting bites at the apple, Pitbull Cruz was getting bites at the apple. Alberto Puello, even though it was PED usage, no outrage, but they was trying to have a baby. He went on to have a baby, so it was kind of legit. They didn't cry about him getting another bite at the apple. They told with Sabril they was a little different. They was like, well, he got to work himself back up, because they was really playing keep away with their favorite fighters. Because even though skill wise he doesn't have that, he's not the most polished skill wise, he's still somebody you don't want to get in there with, because he'll fuck you up over time. If you don't have the skill set and the discipline, even if you are more skilled, if your gas tank ain't as high, your punch resistance ain't as high, your motor ain't as high, and you don't really got no chin, or you can't take that pain, he gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think some of it is cultural, you know, and some of it's cultural and some of it's regional, because I always bring up people like Derek Chisora, Dillian White. These guys can lose, they can get lambasted, and they are going to show up, drink beers, laugh, want to take pictures, do all of that.
Sing Sweet Carolina and everything for these motherfuckers.
Now, because I had this video, I've been supposed to do this video. I've been supposed to do that video, right? Because I heard a major content creator, he did the Freudian slip. And he was like, yeah, because we want to see him lose. And he was like, well, not see him lose. I'm like, nah, you said it, man. You said it. Like, they've been waiting for the man to lose, and he wound up getting a draw. And people, they started questioning his power. I was like, man, like, come on, man. You need to go ahead and write your series on gaslighting, because you questioning the man's power. So I'm thinking some of it, the reason is because of how crazy the media is. You know, that's why, like, over time, I've evolved to where I used to put, now I still will every now and again, depending on how it goes. I used to put it on my thumbnail after a fight, like either somebody on the canvas or somebody down or somebody whatever, but I kind of got away from it. I started being more creative and talking about it. I just put them in adversity university. But that's my little contribution, because I know they get it on all ends when they lose, you know, and it's like if they lose or get a draw or something, you know, something happened, they're treated like they're disposable.
Yeah, and that's the sad part about it. And just to piggyback off that comment, I'm always going to talk about the example of Rashidi Ellis. Everybody wanted to see that Rashidi Ellis versus Boots fight, especially when they got into it on stage. And that was when Boots was getting ready to fight, I think, Karan the first time, or it was Roman Villa. I don't remember who it was, but they was really going at it on that stage, and people were just like, you know, even in the comments on the side, they was like, oh shit, that's the next fight, Boots versus Ellis. That shit carried on to the point of, you know, it was Karen the first time, because Rashidi had fought Roman Villa, and basically, you know, that fight was talked up, and he took the loss to Roman Villa, and he just became a ghost. Next thing you're hearing, the promotional company is not fucking with him anymore, and you like, what? Off of one loss? That many people feel that he actually won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Y'all serious on shit? And then next thing you know, we don't hear from him for a couple of years, and he shows up on ProBox. So it's like, God damn, bro. That's like, come on, man. Rashidi wasn't trash. I liked the dude, man. I liked his personality. You feel what I'm saying? I liked him in the ring. So it's like, come on. Like, damn, that's fucked up. So as American fans, I think it's more of an American thing, because when you look at the landscape of, and I'm going to say this right now for the audience, I do have a bias when it comes down to all things Asian, because I spent over 15 years in the Asian food sector, you know, so everything from Japanese to Korean to Chinese to Malaysian, you know, I've done Thai, I've done mostly all of it. So I do have a bias when it comes down to Asian boxing and just the culture. So long story short, when you talk about Japanese boxing, and I'm gonna bring up a fighter I really like there is Jin Sasaki. He took one loss, but yet they're trying to now push Jin Sasaki to be the face of Japanese boxing because of his uncanny way when he interviews. Look at how, he just basically showed up at who's that? Schofield Jr.'s after his fight, came with the traditional Japanese call out and everything. So look at how he just stirred that up. That was his basic introduction to saying, yeah, there's a guy, Japanese, at 147 pounds that's looking to start to challenge the American champs or any of the top names in the division. So yeah, there's no problem with that. When you look at, again, UK boxing, you got fighters, Body just talked about him, Dillian White, Derek Chisora, just the recent champ, Daniel Dubois. Like, he rose to be a champion after 2 losses and one of them being a quit.
Yeah.
So it's just like, hey, look at how they support their fighters. Look at how we deal with our fighters. We looking at a guy like Jared Anderson, like, oh man, look at this nigga Jared, he ain't shit now. Like, come on, bro, he need to hang it up, retire, some shit like that. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just needs to hear some positive shit from the fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they in a way they can kind of help us out, but it's a tricky situation because
it's a little weird there.
It'll be okay because it'll be okay for some fighters where they be like, well, what you expect? They'll condone and look for soft touches or people that's long in the tooth and all that. But if they want to get somebody out of there in the interest of somebody that they like, they'll be like, oh no, he coming back fighting who? It's like if you take Devin, right? It was like anybody else. Like if that happened with Tank, like if Tank said, all right, I'm about to fight Jose Ramirez, like they would have barbecued his ass. Yes. Like coming off of a loss, like they would have barbecued his ass. Yes. But see, with Jared, he was so highly touted and we were so thirsty for a heavyweight champ, and the skill set he shown, we was like, okay, yeah, we got something here. I mean, some people were looking at my guy I call the Sasquatch, Frank Sanchez, then we seen what Caballero did, but I think we thought that Frank Sanchez,
I had Sanchez above all the young guys. I was like, none of them young dudes is beating Sanchez. He was we thought them two was gonna give us some hope. Yeah. We thought that they was okay, we got something. We got some iron, because for real, it looked like all the great heavyweights is like across the pond right now. It's been kind of like a shift, and it's just one new guy. This new guy, I posted about him the other day, Edwards, I think his last name is, but he's nice. Like, I'm talking about, this dude is nice. Now I gotta do my due diligence as far as the opponents and all of that, as far as like him, but he just came out of the Olympics. He medaled. He is nice, bro. Like, I'm talking. No, I was just gonna interject real fast and say, if he's just coming out of the Olympics and he's under 10 fights, I am not questioning this dude's level of competition, because it's either they're gonna move him fast with some fluff pieces, or they're gonna move him slow with some fluff pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put it like this: he over there, he over there with Golden Boy, right? And that's my concern. That's a little bit of my concern, because hey, the elephant in the room is he looked like us, AC. So yeah, I'm not sure, but they don't have nobody else. They don't have nobody else that's like Oscar that they're gonna shelf this guy for. So I gotta look at him. Yeah, I gotta see if he was just able to do all these things against this guy because of the opponent. But the skill set jumps off the page. Like I mean, just check him out. I'm gonna put his name in there. But what I was getting at is with Jared, it's starting to be trust issues, because even if you take a loss like that, you kind of got to get right back in the saddle. And I'm not saying go pick somebody. I'm not saying go pick somebody that's been working at Walmart. You know, it's nothing like that. But just, you know, have your matchmakers do their job to kind of build you back up so that you can at least get a fight, you know, get another fight back and stay active. Because that's what, because look, I'm gonna put it like this. Bacoli, I just seen an interview with Bacoli the other day, and he said, they said, so all systems go with you and Ajagba here. He was like, yeah, he said, and they said, well, considering, you know, the loss and all that, he said, listen, he said, I do not look at that as a loss. He was like, listen, I'm 100%. I got a training camp. I don't even count that as I'm not even looking at that no more. Yes, we are full steam ahead. I'm training. I feel good. I'm this, I'm that, and he's right back at it with an Ajagba.
Yeah. And
he can't go in there half stepping because the Ajagba will bludgeon you to. I call that. I got a video coming out called Battle of the Big Right Hands. Like the battle of the big right, because the right hands is going to win, or whoever got the most educated. Because I still think Bacoli is like, he still give me flashes of Big George, like that skill set. Like, is there something about him that he fight like Big George, and the dude can actually box, like he can let them hands go. So I'm looking forward to that. But my point is, he jumped right back in the saddle. Now I'm not saying Jared need to go and get nobody like a Ajagba or nothing like that, but I'm just saying stay active enough to where we're not just questioning your resiliency, or we're not like, we should be only just questioning, okay, how far up can you go? Not questioning like, well, is he in shape, or did he have a fat camp, or how is, because activity will help you stay in the game. It's like you can't go away for so long with the inactivity, with not being active, and still maintain like your fans, like especially over here as an American, as American, like Black American. That's the elephant. As a Black American boxer, you can't do that.
Yeah. That's a huge no. It's like you gotta stay in the game, stay busy. And you was hitting it right on the nose when you was talking about, you know, Jared going out there and getting right back in. People will say, all right, you was just in there, you know, with Martin Bacoli, and you just had a tough win. He won his last fight, correct?
Yeah, Yeah,
but your performance is off. So, you know, the whole thing is, why aren't we seeing you on the undercard of one of these big cards that's coming up between May and June? You know, so it's things like this that tell us, all right, take the soft touches, because look at how they rebuilt AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Each time AJ took a loss, they gave him these soft touches and then put him in there with somebody who was immediately probably medium level hard.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the stoppage, and then they say AJ is back.
Yep. They put him in there with Franklin, Ngannou, and what was the big white dude?
Wallin? Was it? It wasn't Otto Wallin. Who was it?
Wasn't Wallin. It was I forgot his name.
Yeah, but I know who you talk.
But yeah, that's exactly what they did. Now Jermaine Franklin, I think he you know, he got some kind. He's not like a sort. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, Jermaine Franklin can outbox you. Like Jermaine, he actually got some skills. I just think that he's like a Stephen Shaw almost, to where it's like, man, y'all got a skill set, you know, and they trying to build you. You might not have, they might not be looking at you like you up there as the elite, but if you stayed active, you know what I'm saying, you would stay getting work, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be either a journeyman or a gatekeeper or something, to where it's like, okay, I'm gonna expose some of these young guys coming in. That's where I think the level is. But they, like you said, they built them back up. Even Belonga, when you look at what happened, that was like, I was, as a hardcore, I'm gonna speak out on these things. I'm like, man, can't none of us, like, if Jamel came back and took somebody that was just did a 10 coming off of a 10-year bid, they would barbecue his ass.
Oh,
But sometimes these guys got to take their career in their own hands and do something like that. Go out there and get you. I mean, shit. Get you something to make you look spectacular so you can get right back in the saddle and because look at what Sabril Matias did. He got right back in the saddle. I think he sparked 2 dudes, and now he getting ready to get another title shot. And it's not going to be under the IBF. He's going to be under WBC, which is going to say that, okay, well, he might even be stronger this time because he don't have the 10-pound rehydration.
And this is what you just said, and what we've been talking about is my direct issue with Devin Haney. You shouldn't have did all of that crying. You should have turned right around and got right back in there. Took a soft touch, a dude with fucking 4 knockouts. Yeah, they're gonna try to criticize you, but look at this. Taking the comparison, Shakur saying he have hurt hands and all the mystery about his hands and his performance and his hands and his performance. He goes out there and he gets himself a Josh Padley, aka Patty, right, on basically 2 to 4 day notice. Goes out there, puts accurate punches on the dude. The dude said he never was hurt by Shakur, but just the visual part of what Shakur did. Oh, Core is back. All he got to do is just go do this. Yo, I'm telling you, man, this is why Tank ain't want to fight. Look at what he did to Pat. This is why Tank ain't want to fight. Oh my God. So, okay, I get it. I get it. He came back, he performed, he got the guy out of there, he did what he was supposed to do. Our criticism was, but he did it in 9 rounds. Oh, see, y'all just hating on Core. Like, let the man live. He did what he was supposed to do. What happened? Ain't nobody want to fight him. Everybody ducking him. So what was he supposed to do? So you get all of that, and it's just like, okay, all right. But in the same token, if you take those 2 dynamics and you look at, if Devin would have done something similar to that, right after the Ryan loss, just to show people and give the perception, because perception is reality in this era, and have the announcers keep trying to tell you, yeah, Devin's back. No, that was just a fluke. The fight that happened with him and Ryan Garcia, he'd have probably been headlining this card with all of those dudes on the undercard, setting himself up for the rematch.
Well, it's a couple theories. It's one creator saying that the one creator out here saying that Devin was actually suspended. They said he was suspended for 8 months, and that's part of the reason why. And I'm like, how can I find that out? Whether or not, because that's what he's saying. He's saying Devin was actually suspended for 8 months. So 8 of them months he wasn't even going to be able to. But then that opens up a whole nother can of worms. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why were you suspended? Now I know most of the time when you get stopped or something like that, I know it's a time frame that they give you where you can't fight. It might be 60 days, depending on whatever it was. But it's a content creator saying he was suspended for 8 months. So I still got to dig into that. So I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense, because I was kind of wondering why. Would he do that as well? I'm like, man, you need to get the up on. If you're gonna come back, you need to get the up on Ryan. Ryan can't do nothing for a year. You can, but now, okay, I say, okay, take the 8 months. So I kind of got to do some homework on that.
But my only potential. Go ahead. Sorry.
But to speak to your other point, I'm gonna be a hindsight boy. Now, right? What Shakur did was genius, and I might have to attribute it to Eddie. Cause at the time, as I had my hardcore hat on, I'm saying, oh man, like you in my boxes to watch. I call you the definition. It's like you taking on all comers. I'm gonna beat shit down your leg. So Jadier Herrera, that'll look good because he got the punching power and all that. They were like, no. We're gonna give you Padley so you can look exquisite. And now, I seen the interview today that took place. It took place the day after. Which fight was that? It was like a week ago. I seen the interview on the Danza project with Shakur, and then I seen what ProBox was saying, and man, like it worked. Like what he did to Padley, and people seeing that it worked because the people with the voice that have the people listening, man, they talking about, man, Shakur going to continue his dominance, and nobody want to see him. And then the dude from the Danza project put Shakur in there with he put him up there in the name with Tom Brady, LeBron James. I was like, wow, like that shit worked. So yeah. I'm like, I'm starting to see it. So as a hardcore, I'm going to have my criticisms about saying, nah, man, you can't fight nobody off a 10-year bid. Like, nah, you can't fight an electrician. Like, nah, you can't fight a motherfucking French teacher. Yes, as a hardcore. But if I put my business hat, it's like, especially for the American boxers, y'all better start doing what y'all got to do to stay active and look extravagant, because you can't afford to take a loss. Especially if you're going to go dark and then come back and have the same cachet that you had when you reigned, a la Jermell Charlo. So it was genius what Eddie did with Shakur. Because the conversation right now, I'm like, man, I don't want to sound like a hater, but what, like the dominant performance, like which performances are you talking? You talking about the Haratulian performance? You talking about the De Los Santos performance? You talking about the Josh Padley performance? You talking about those dominant performances? Because the adjective they're using right now, it's like that shit worked. Like them matching them up with Padley, that shit worked. Them Berlanga getting that dude coming off a 10-year bid, that shit worked. Why? Because the casuals don't give a fuck. All they know is Shakur TKO the dude and Berlanga knocked the nigga out.
Yeah. Now here's why sometimes I go on these channels and they actually think I'm kind of trolling them, but I'm telling you what you don't want to hear, because I've come to realize, and this is why I started saying it, perception is reality. You don't want you still want to come at the conversation as a hardcore fan and criticize what's going on. But I'm trying to tell you, in this era, perception is reality, so you just have to accept it. In that realm, this is a good fight. In that realm, that was a great performance. That told you Shakur Stevenson is back and can't nobody beat him. Don't question him. So this is why we chose the opponent that we chose, because we had two other tougher fighters, much tougher fighters, that would have brought the heat to him, but that's not what we wanted to do. So Eddie was trying to, and I'm going to say this, when I look at how all of this stuff went down, and then I'm going to do my hindsight thing to say, oh, so you landed on Lou DiBella. Okay. It was genius, because you sold us an image, you sold us a narrative, you sold us on so many different levels. It was a true David Copperfield making the Statue of Liberty disappeared moment. Here's what I'm saying. It was said that Shakur didn't want to sign the PBC, and the Tank fight fell out because he wanted multiple fights, but PBC was only offering him one fight, one and done, and that's it. You feel what I'm saying? Then it was said that you went over the top rank and you were supposed to have signed a 2-fight deal. You're supposed to sign a 2-fight deal. One where you were supposed to get Cordina, and then the other one was supposed to be Zepeda, right? So here's the thing. How do you fire Eddie Hearn and you signed a 2-fight deal contract, and then you go sign the Lou DiBella
for a 1-fight deal?
For 1 fight deal.
But Eddie's still saying, look, that Eddie, you gotta slow him down, and you gotta break down what Eddie said, because Eddie said, listen, I want to squash it all. You could do the accents better than me, but he basically said, I want to squash it and say that we still have Shakur for a 2-fight deal, me and Turkey. I don't know how to interpret it, but all we do know, the bare bones of it is, you didn't want a 1-fight deal for Tank, but now you in a 1-fight deal with Lou DiBella after having 1 fight with Eddie. Now, but to sandwich all of this, and the genius of it all is, they had Padley come back and Padley got a stoppage. So like right now, the reality, as you say,
this shit is, it's like, wow, David Copperfield, these niggas sold us. They sold us.
The convers that, man, he got people saying, man, Shakur is so dominant. Now he had the dude from the Danza Project come out and say that his top 3 at lightweight is Shakur, Keyshawn, and Lamont Roach. Shakur disagreed with him and said, no, he said with Roach just having 1 fight there. He said, but it's a good list and that's your opinion. And then all of the conversation, because it's so crazy, they'll tell you that Tank ain't up there, right? But then in the rest of the conversation, it was all about beating Tank. It's like, so in one breath, he ain't even in your, but why is he always mentioned as the guy to beat then? Yeah. It's like, so it, like what Eddie did, man, and it could work, because if Shakur goes on and he makes Zepeda look extraordinary, because people already saying, man, I know over there at Pro Box, they was already saying that Zepeda looks like, he had 2 not so good performances. He's like one pretty bad performance and then 1 not so good performances. So they already started to chink away and devalue what Zepeda brings. But the lift that Shakur has, based on this, like, stopping Padley and the way they're saying how dominant he is, it's like, man, that shit worked. Yeah. As far as, the perception of everything. Now, I always say it's like this, like in football, right, when you get into the playoffs and you fall in, right, well, you're going to go against the second highest seed. You're going to go in, you're going to play the second highest seed and you're going to play the away game. But it's going to look like a curveball when the next team you face, like that team, they're not that good on the first team, they're not that good on deep. They're not great at all. They probably was like in the lower third as far as defense. Yeah. But they can run the score up on you. They can light the scoreboard on you. So you got a good defense, so you kind of hold them, you win by a field goal. But the next week, you run into Derrick Henry and them boys when he was with Tennessee. And they shut you down, like they shut you down, but then they control the clock by giving the ball to Derrick Henry and they shove it down your throat. And then you get caught up in this high of what you did to this first team and how you did that. But the curveball is the very next week when you face that next guy or that next group of guys, and it's like a curveball because they got a powerhouse defense. Yeah. They got safeties. They got shut down corners. They got linebackers that if you get anywhere near your quarterback, you're gonna shit on yourself. And that's so only time will tell. I call it the age well games right now. And they got Shakur, man. Shakur is looking fabulous. Shakur is making all these right moves. He's demonstrating his dominance. He came off a dominant performance against De Los Santos. He came off a dominant performance against Haratunian. He stopped Josh Padley. He's getting ready to make Zepeda look ordinary. That's in reality, that's what he did, right, AC?
In this era, yeah.
So they doing right. They got him looking like, you know what I'm saying? Comparing him to Sweet Pea and Tom Brady and LeBron. I'm like, man, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I might not be hardcore. I mean, I might be a casual. So I say that to say, man, listen, man, take a page out of Eddie's book, man. Take a page out of Eddie. Cause look, they doing the same thing with Boots, bro.
Yep.
Bro. They got Boots. They just ordered a mandatory. So Boots gonna fight that guy Giasov, right? and then he's gonna get the winner of Rolly and Ryan, bro. Bro, he gonna get the winner of Rolly and Ryan, bro. Those are his next 2 fights. You talking about going to superstardom? You see what I'm saying, AC?
Oh my God, bro. This shit, yo, listen. When people make the argument sometimes of saying boxing is starting to look like, WWE, these are the perfect examples. You feel what I'm saying? If you're looking at Rolly, the winner of Rolly or Ryan Garcia, you know what I'm saying? After your mandatory, which if I'm still correct at 47, a unification would still trump a mandatory. You know what I'm saying? I do know of one young fighter that's like screaming to try to get a fight with you and shit like that, saying you're number one priority. They was like, no, we not gonna wait. They number one priority. So
no, AC, let me stop you there because
I think
because if you go to any other channel, Brian Norman Jr. is shaking in his boots, and Eddie already made sure that the public knows that Brian Norman Jr. would rather go all the way over to Japan for less money, like 17 times less than what he would have got paid for boots. And he don't want no part of boots. We the only ones that's like, I don't know about all that. We the only ones.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
but they've already done. I'm telling you, Eddie is a master, bro.
Yes,
he's
sir.
a master, bro. Because that's why I was saying about the whole Conwell thing. Like, and people don't think that it took that the reputation didn't take no hit. But that's when I was saying, okay, not only was the Norman shit some bullshit, but the Conwell shit was some bullshit. And then look at the narrative now online.
Yeah.
And so now you set up. So Ryan gets his dub erased. He comes back against Rolly, and then he's going to go into a boots. Or a Rolly, if Rolly can upset the apple cart and get Ryan out of there, Boots will get Giasov. If he take care of business and don't nothing crazy happen, he's going to do Giasov because Imajestanianis had to step aside for him. So that's one of them things, like almost like the Sandor Martin, where he inherited a mandatory. Sandor Martin was Regis's mandatory, took step aside. Devin and them inherited, but with that happen, the winner of Puello and Russell, they inherited that mandatory. So Boots inherited that mandatory. He gonna have to get him out the way, and then they already lined it up for the winner of Rolly and Ryan to get that done. But they've already ruined the reputation of Brian Norman to have everybody stuck on it, saying it 1,000 times a day that the Normans are ducking Boots, and they turned down it, and they stuck on that point.
Yeah,
not really realizing that's the right hand, not looking at what the left hand is doing.
Yep.
And at the same token, Andy Hirioka, the one who stopped your guy, he's getting he's next up for Gary Antoine,
and that might be that I'm gonna say that's gonna be a really, really good fight. If Andy Hirioka shows up, that the Andy Hirioka that he is undefeated, beating the shit out of everybody. Yes, you're finally getting you're coming over here to America, and the guy you facing ain't nothing to fuck with, Andy. You feel what I'm saying? I probably would have picked Andy Hirioka maybe over some of the other guys. I see him being a tough fight for Hitchinson. I see him being a tough fight for Gary Antoine. but I just have a tough time seeing Andy beat these guys, because these 140 guys they're different. You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing. It's definitely a beautiful thing. Ooh, I can't wait to see that fight. I got Gary winning, but I can't. I got Gary winning, but I just still can't wait to see that fight.
You know, it kind of depends. I'm a little it kind of depends on the last of how these fighters, because I haven't seen much of Gary Antoine here lately. I've been seeing more and more Richardson Hitchens, and I'm like, Richardson Hitchens, he kind of for a minute I believe he deserved to be on his soapbox, because people don't give him the credit for the resume and the names and the struggle that he had to go through to get to where he was at. Like that's why I'm not banging on him for Kambosos. It's like, at first I was like, I don't want to see that, but I understand, because the way the fans are going to do you, if somebody relieve you of that strap, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
you're gonna get the treatment, bro. They're gonna make you. They're gonna pull a Regis on you. Like when Regis lost to Josh Taylor, that dude had to go all the way back down and work himself all the way back up. And Jose Ramirez ducked him. You know, the other guy, the other one that he wound up getting the strap from when he got his belt back, Zepeda, Sean Zepeda, Sean Jose Zepeda. He pulled out, like it was rough for him to get back. So I kind of understand why Richardson is going for Kambosos, but I'm also listening to Richardson, and I'm like, man, like, stay sharp, talk your shit, but don't let it go to your head, man. So it depends on the mindset of these champions going in there, because these guys like Andy Hirioka, he's coming with all he got. Kambosos, you know, he rise up, you know, and against Loma just picked him apart. And I don't doubt that Richardson is going to pick him up, like pick Kambosos. I don't doubt that. It's just that keep your foot right on that line from being big-headed, but then still like standing on your shit as a champ, because it's a tricky time now, and they would do weird little things. To try to get you, get that belt up, relieve you of that strap, so they can they can parade it around somebody else's waist. Yeah.
Now here's the thing where, if I had to give a fight prediction on Andy Hirioka versus Hitchinson, it would be like, you have to slow down this pace and then take over the pace. Slow him down. You feel what I'm saying? Because he's kind of like he comes from that Japanese school, and they'll dart in and out and be extremely explosive. But Andy can also just stand in the pocket with you and bang with you, punch at the same time. So it's gonna be interesting, even for if Gary Antoine gets in there with him, I would say the same advice. But Gary Antoine also likes to fight at a high pace. That's why I think the fight's gonna be kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? These are two high-paced guys that would be getting in there doing their thing. So yeah, Andy's my dark horse at 140. One of my dark horses at 140. A guy that could go in there and people be like, who the fuck is this dude? And what? How did he do this? And how this dude lose to this guy? It's like, hey, he's over there. He's highly ranked globally, and he's highly ranked he's number one in Japan. You feel what I'm saying? Even when Jin fought him, he was number one way back then. So
he's sneaky good.
Yeah. He's sneaky good, bro. So yeah, be careful. That's all I gotta say. Be careful. Watch film on him, see what his weaknesses are, see what his tells are, and be first. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Outside of that, man, to bring it back home, yeah, uh, I want to see how some of these guys at 140, if they, um, once they really start mixing it up, will they go dark and come back? I think Gary went dark for a little bit after his first fight, but then he came back and did his thing. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
like Ryu need to jump. Ryu need to jump right back in the He need to jump right back in the saddle, man, and keep. But see, he gotta. It's kind of different because he's still gonna have a fan base. You know, he still kind of got. Like I said about different cultures, they kind of still got a fan base. Like Subriel, he still had a fan base. Like, you know, he might have. He didn't even really go dark. He got quiet for a little while, but then he bounced back and he got back out there, you know. It's just I know the message is this, man. If you are American, if you're an American fighter, you don't even gotta be black, because I remember you remember a dude named Brandon Lee?
yeah,
He was touted, like him and Boots, I think they were best friends. I don't ever hear anything about Brandon Lee anymore.
yep,
I mean, Lubin, he was doing it. And that's why I think Lubin, I see some parallels between Lubin and Blair. It's like you get a good victory, and then somehow, some way, your momentum stops. And part of it might be because you might fuck up some plans. Like nobody look like you're like an afterthought when in the conversations as far as competition in these weight classes. But you are very more than formidable, and you have the kind of power and the kind of skills that can upset somebody like out of the blue, but they lose their momentum.
yeah, because it's like you get that big win and then nobody want to fight you. Nobody's talking about you. There is no bounce off of your win, and it's like they're turning to social media, and you know what'll fuck Lubin up is if you're fighting on a card or you're fighting on the undercard of a Keyshawn, or your fight is either before or after Abdullah Mason fight. You feel what I'm saying? I think sometimes it's like some fighters that are trying to bounce back, to try to get yourself on a big card is a mistake, because you can be outshined by anybody else that's on the card, and then this is what kills your momentum, because at the end of the day it's like Lubin can have a fight, right? Lubin can get a stoppage. Abdullah Mason can have a fight. Abdullah Mason gets the stoppage. Who do they talk about the next morning? Abdullah Mason stoppage or Lubin stoppage?
Abdullah.
And then people will be like, yeah, but Lubin got a stoppage that night too. Yeah, Lubin looking good. Yeah. But anyway, did you see the way that Abdullah caught him? And that's it. So it's like, you got to find that medium space. And I think this is where, for some fighters, it becomes difficult, because it's going into a situation where you're taking a pay cut. It may be a huge pay cut, but you're on an undercard, and the person that you may be fighting, the two of you can steal a show. So I think sometimes you got to try to, I would think sometimes I would want to put myself in that position. Like, yeah, if I fight on the undercard of a Keyshawn fight, Keyshawn gonna have his brothers. He's probably gonna have Abdullah Mason on there. So
Troy
Isley, any one of those guys could steal a next day conversation. Yeah, it's a good opportunity, but yeah, I need to try to rebrand myself, and it's going to be hard, for me to do it. And I don't know, maybe it's just the name Lubin is not something that people feel like brings that it factor.
I'm gonna tell you what the reality of it is. And from the outside looking in, from the little things that I can, because I'll be watching interviews, I'll be at work, I'll watch a whole interview. I got an hour to listen while I'm doing whatever. I got an hour to listen and watch and look at this and look at that. I'll do it. But this would it be. sometimes these guys be presented with offers and they be like, why would I take that? Or why would I need to do this? And so they pass up on it thinking that that's not enough. That, and then life changes, you know, you going through life changes because the bills don't stop.
Yeah.
We know that. You know what I'm saying? You know, we know we take a couple of days off, but we don't have our little, you know what I'm saying, deposits coming in, and your shit gonna start looking different. You know, it's like as a boxer, the fight don't happen and you ain't got no endorsements, you ain't on that level, or you haven't done right by your money and you haven't set it up to where you got residual income coming in, you're gonna suffer. But it's part of it's probably looking at the next man and what they got going on and how much they got going on. But then they don't think like they thought earlier on in their career, where it's like, okay, right now it's dictating that okay, what other offers do you have? Is this the only offer you have? Okay, well, you have 2 offers. How much is it? Well, if that's, I'm not saying, because it is dangerous, I'm not saying take anything.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you take this, like say, all right, I'll take this if you got something else for me in 3 months, or have a plan to where you can get 3 paydays instead of taking no paydays and then dealing with being hit with some shit last minute, because like that's how the Darnell Boones of the world is, the Lonnie B's of the world, like even Blair the Flair. I imagine that they do Rashidi like that, because they know if you give this man an 8-week tramp, think about Cordell Booker.
Yeah.
And that's why I was happy for the man getting his opportunity. I didn't really want to shit on him either, right? He had a pass and all that, but the man said this was the first time in his career where he got paid and he had time to have a full training camp, bro.
That's crazy.
So I'm saying that to say, look, sometimes these guys, they've seen, they ain't see the top of the mountain, you know what I'm saying? They ain't see the whole, they ain't get up top at Mount Kilimanjaro, but they was past, you know, the midway point, and they seen them big checks, and so now they done fought, you know, over 20 times or however, and they got them payday, and maybe the numbers ain't looking that appealing. But I'm like, man, sometimes, man, you might have to take the smaller ones, take 2 or 3 of them smaller ones, look outstanding, and then get back up there instead of just taking nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think that happens a lot, man, because like with a Rashidi, I know he be getting last minute offers. It's like, man, why y'all doing it like boo-boo? I know he probably, you know, the powers that be kind of regulate what we know, and the veil, they keep a veil up behind what we can actually see when it comes to these guys.
Yeah.
But they'll try to, like a tough out or a guy that they know got some skills, they'll give him a short notice. Hey man, I got this coming up in 30 days. You with it? How much is it? No, hold on. That's all it is. Well, no, I ain't taking it. That happened a couple times, and next thing you know, you out for 6 months, and then they want you to come back and fight Andre the Giant.
And then they'll tell you, then they'll put it out there. Yeah, he just ducked because he refused our offer. Like what?
And part of me, I'm starting to say, man, look, man, I'm starting to say, okay, if the promoters and these guys are playing these games to where they're not giving us the matchups that we want. Now we are, because I started off by saying like I'm 80-20. Like 80 it's lovely. The cards are being announced, fights are happening. I love that. The 20% of the game is like this. Think about it like this, and we'll get ready to close. But I'm gonna give you an example. They want Jermell to come back and fight Jesus Ramos or Bakram. And that's going to be the standard for everybody who talk about this. Watch my words. Frequent some other channels and listen. They want Jermell to come back and fight Jesus Ramos, who's been pretty active, and Bakram, who just did what he did to Tim Tszyu. Now, I don't know how active Bakram been, but I heard what he said about Conwell, and I haven't heard about him having another fight, or the world would have known, because he do have a strap. But the standard for Jermell to come back and fight Jesus Ramos or Bakram. So it's a different standard for certain fighters. But I'm almost at a point now to where it's like, okay, if you take a loss and they want you to come back and fight Andre the Giant, I don't know if you should do it. I mean, it's gonna sound weird as a hardcore, man. It's gonna sound weird because if it's gonna be the expense that you go dark again for another year, or you be out for another 18 months, when you can fight, you can do the Belonga. You can get you a guy that's coming off of bid. You can get you a school teacher. You can get you a plumber. Go in there and get them 3 little, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, with somebody like Mel, the paychecks won't be that. But you see what I'm trying to say? They want him to come back and fight killers.
Yeah.
They don't have that same energy for everybody else, and he undisputed the division. That's really his division. So I'm starting to develop something to say, hey man, maybe you do gotta be kind of selective with your opponent. Like, until we fully get into this whole, then that's contradicting my hardcore hat, because I want to see the best. I'm always gonna speak my shit on the hardcore shit, but when it comes to my guys going dark, man, that's a remedy, man. You can't sit out because the numbers ain't looking as big. You know, if the competition ain't like Bud level pound for pound, and they want you to come back and take peanuts, man, take some of them smaller checks and stay active, and you'll be right back, because like you said, perception is reality. But that's it, man. I just wanted to go over that, man, because Frank Martin, Errol Spence, both of the Charlos, Regis, I seen them do an interview today. These guys have gone dark, and that's just a couple of them. That's just a couple of the guys. Speedy Rashidi, Demetrius Andre, these guys go dark, and they don't stay active. And it's like, dang, you got fans, man.
Yeah.
Don't forget about your fans. Like, dude, I ain't saying you got to be on there twittering it up every day or doing interviews every day, but every now and again be like, hey man, I'm good, I'm in good spirits, show something, you know what I'm saying? Show us proof of life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, that's it, man. I just wanted to cook for a little while, man. It was just something to where I ain't want to put nobody on the milk carton, but I did want to put some vibes out there for when these fighters go dark, man. What you got anything you want to leave everybody with?
Man, just support the fighters even if they go dark, man. Just go on their page and just ask, hey champ, how you doing? You feel what I'm saying? Miss you, champ. Can you just let us know how you doing? How was your day? Blah blah blah. And who knows? Maybe that might inspire them to drop something. But on that note, man, great show, great topic, good cook. On to the next one.
All right, AC, appreciate you for coming through, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Yeah, man, that was it, man. Just a little cook on when fighters go dark, and I thought some people might come through and chime in on, maybe some of their fighters who might have went missing for a little while, and you don't know what's going on, but some of us are not flip-flops, man. We're not just gonna just be like Tarzan and swing from vine to vine. Like, I'm always putting new fighters in I always have eyes on some new talent and people that I'm looking at, people that I'm in evaluation, people that I'm still saying, one more fight. I see this one thing from him. One more fight, and you got me. One more fight. Like AC said, Earl, man, we want to hear from you. We seen the interview with Regis, man. The ruler is back. I mean, there's sightings of Jamel and Jamal. Lubin's coming back. Andre, we want to hear from you. Conwell, don't go dark. You know what I'm saying? Don't go dark, man. Get you somebody, man. I would pick the ripest cherry, and I'll be back in 90 days, 120 days, tops. You know what I'm saying? Get back in there, and part 2 of your spree gonna kick off and commence again. But anyways, man, just try to add some nutritional value, man, to the conversation, man, and look at, some of the perspectives on boxing as well. Cause we got to talking about a couple boxers and the perception of things versus the reality of things. There's some things for you to think about, man, that you can carry on to your boxing conversations and have something of substance. we do have a lot of good fights. I'm 80-20 with boxing right now. 80%, I'm like, yes, we getting fights. Fights are being, I mean, shoot, De Los Santos and Keyshawn. You know what I'm saying? That's a nice fight, man. Alberto Puello and Matias, that's a nice fight. Shakur and Zepeda, that's a nice fight. David Morrell, he went dark for a little while, but he's right back. He's right back. He right back at it. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully you got something from this show. Hopefully, you know, it can contribute to the boxing conversation, because this is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Fact-based content, not opinion-based. You know, I hope everybody, you know, enjoyed their week. You know, and do some research, man. Don't just listen to these creators, man, because they will steer you wrong, man, or listen to them. But check up on the things that they're saying, man, because everything is not right and exact. You know, it's some funny people out here, some people with some talent, some people with some charisma. But when it comes down to boxing, man, it's like almost like everybody has an agenda. Some of them's good. You know, 80% could be good. It's the 20% that I don't agree with. So hopefully I put something on your mind. And I appreciate everybody who came through, from Bills, the Latch Puma, the Victor Cologne, the Cokie, to Cookie Monster, Al Money, his twin, Latch Puma Skills. I salute all of y'all. AC for dropping in, man. And don't forget to hit the like button. You know, share the video, support the channel, man. Support the channel, because I don't shoot from the hip, man. I try to qualify everything that I have, and I do try to keep it upbeat on the boxers. Yeah, I have my fair share of criticism, but I try not to drag nobody into the ground. I just make observations, man. Every now and again, hit dogs holler. But thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. Well, we don't take things for face value. We do that body.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.